Brock Purdy has officially played an entire season, 17 games. I thought it would be interesting to get your thoughts on what kind of quarterback he is right now. I feel like he's been super divisive. Is he elite? Is he not elite? Is he good enough? Is he clutch? Is he a choker? We've had a lot of interesting discussions about him. Started his career extremely hot. Still hasn't necessarily proved that he can be the person that drags the team from a loss, but I don't know if that should be something that he's expected to do at this point in his career. How do you feel about him? I never really like look at stats, but I was actually reading something, and they were talking about that Brock Purdy not only has like one of the highest passer ratings in the NFL, but so right now this season he's thrown for 2,329 yards. He has 15 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, and is 172 of 250 passes. And he also is only 17th in like throwing to wide open guys. I feel like a narrative for Brock Purdy has kind of been like that it's all scheme and it's all system, and that he doesn't have to really like make a play, but he has made a play. So I don't know. I'm impressed with him, but not ready to call him a franchise quarterback. But I enjoyed how he bounced back. When you're talking about that, okay, I want to talk about this. He over the bye week, he apologized for like making bad decisions, right? For like putting the ball in harm's way. He apologized to the team. He comes out, he tells the media that he apologizes to the team. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch both talk about how no matter how good he's playing, if he's risking things, especially at the end of the game, that it doesn't matter how good you're playing if you're turning the ball over. And he really like kind of shows this like humility about like, I'm not going to be making these risky plays again. But then he in the game on a first down throws the most insane touchdown ever when it's just like completely unnecessary. He could have handed the ball off. He could have ran the ball himself. I think what happened is he made the decision that he was going to throw the ball. And then by the time he realized like Kittle wasn't open, he was just kind of like, screw it. And I kind of think that that's important to have in your quarterback. Obviously it can get you in trouble and you don't want too much of it, but one, I think you're just going to have to live with that for Brock Purdy. Everyone says that that's who he was kind of in college too. It's interesting because we've talked about him being like that when he feels like the game is on him, but in that situation he did not feel like the game was on him and he still made that choice. I think it was kind of funny, he went to the podium after and kind of re-trugged up that stuff from before the game where he was like, that it doesn't matter that it was a good pat or that it worked out. Like, I'm never going to make that decision again. I think he's lying. I think he's going to do that again. Maybe not like that exact pass, but I think whatever that, like, I have this belief that I can make a play. I think that has not been knocked out of Purdy yet. I think he still has that. And to some extent, I think you need that in order to like get to a point where you're in the NFL, right? You have to have that like confidence in yourself that your playmaking ability is good enough. But it was kind of interesting, like watching him in the post game. He like had that humility and humbleness, but I feel like in his head he was like, yeah, like motherfuckers, like I did that. Like that worked out, didn't it? Like, oh, was that risky? Did it give you a touchdown? Yeah, it did. I don't know. How do you feel about Brock Purdy, attitude wise, play wise, for the future of this franchise, for the future of just this year? Is he going to be able to win a Super Bowl if they're down in the fourth quarter? Dun dun dun.
Down in the fourth quarter, that's gonna be a hard one. But no, I think it's clear. I mean, I think it was even clear before this that Kyle Shanahan made the right decision to go with him. Even, the Kyle Shanahan made the right decision. Although I think that kind of was always a lock that he was gonna be the starter because once he pretty much went on that run last year, it was like, okay, well, he's a starter now. Now Trey Lance and whoever's there is going to have to battle. So it was clearly the right decision, and they're paying dividends for it. Because again, what's my favorite word to use about him? He optimizes the offense. Everyone gets to lift their ceiling up a little bit more. You get more bang for your buck from your star players. But yeah, this season he hasn't been even after they lost to the Bengals. That I'm saying like against the Bengals and the Vikings, he actually didn't really have a bad game. They were good games, but it's because of those crucial picks that he threw on back-to-back possessions late in the game that like, and like you said on the like you said, pretty much summarizing what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan says. It doesn't matter how good you're playing. Those turn like, and that's what I said even before them. It's like it offsets everything you do. So everyone coming into defense like, well, where's all these? Like no, shut up. It doesn't matter what you did first, second, and third quarter. When the game is close or you're trailing, even if it's a one-score lead you have, you turn over you turn over the ball multiple times like that. That's horrendous. That derails you and that deflates you. You know, so and even if that doesn't deflate you, that still puts you like in a tougher battle than you need to be. So that's why like I still will say the Cleveland Brown game is his worst game because he was airmailing play. He was missing, and then he had an egregious pick that was in the middle of a game. So ultimately he's had a fine season. He's had a fairly excellent season, I might say, and he's playing damn well good right now. And it's like, how much could it be because of him? You know, when you're playing with so many studs. But like you said, like he's only like middle of the pack of like players who are throwing to wide open receivers and such. So yeah, it's a mix of both where it's like the scheme and then he's throwing these plays like because obviously when that touchdown play to Kittle, like that wasn't schemed open. Like that fool threw a dot. He threaded that needle. That was a beautiful dot to Kittle.
That was probably his best throw, at least this year.
The Ayuk one over Patrick Peterson was probably better.
True.
But still, they all. So he's had several like elite throws. So he's not an elite player by any measure. We gotta wait another year for that. That's something that has to transgress into next year, and we start talking about if he still looks this good or ideally a little better. But the point is, like, who cares if he's elite? He just needs to be good. That's the point. Like, look, even Garoppolo was average to good most of the time, and they were fine on offense for the most part. But now that you have a guy who has his own skill set in terms of like he can move and scramble a little bit and take off if he needs to, or can make your players play backyard football. And then it's kind of crazy too that like how he doesn't have an arm, but then he does have an arm to throw it. Because that play to Kittle was essentially was a deep pass play. That was pretty brilliant. So he's just
pretty good, like 20 to 25 yards down the field. Like he's not going to like give you like a 40-yard pass down the field, but he's definitely like not terrible in those like intermediate to like semi-long plays. Like he's a good enough arm to keep the defense honest.
If you're throwing 40 yards, either you scrambled out of it or you have offensive line that's holding up for long, which the 49ers offensive line is not good enough to hold up for someone to develop that far, and you just throw a 40-yard bomb like that.
I was just thinking of Josh Allen, to be honest, from yesterday. Not that he's a great example right now, because he's definitely putting the ball. Talk about someone who's giving it and then taking it away.
Yeah, well, that's an example of plenty of things.
I hired Ken Dorsey, the guy that everyone was saying should like be a head coach.
I honestly don't remember that. People saying that last year, or that's something Grant created.
That was such a thing. That was a huge narrative.
I don't even think Grant said that. Did Grant say that?
Yeah, he did.
Grant say that? Of course he did. He probably started it.
All of them. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Jesse also said it too, or something like that, or like a bunch of other people, like, you know, the same people on the same fence. But anyways, yeah, I honestly don't remember that. I remember Brian Dabble, but anyways, whatever. I'm good at filtering my vision from other people's opinion, because otherwise I could be be prone to being influenced myself to groupthink.
Peer pressure? Wow, Jose.
It's not peer pressure. It's groupthink. It's like you hear it enough. It's like, you know what? Maybe it is right. You know, same thing where it's like, hey, this song sucks. Maybe the song actually is good. Although that'll never happen with me for Drake.
That's how I feel about you and your little Drake slander, to be honest.
I can listen to it 100 times. I'll never like it. But no, yeah, Brock Purdy.
Did you see that the Broncos were playing Best I Ever Had in their locker room? That's hilarious. As a Drake fan, that's a hilarious song choice. Why would they do that?
The Niners played that?
No, the Broncos after their game last night.
I think Sean Payton likes Drake.
FaceTiming and like not FaceTiming, but live streaming for Instagram, and in the background it was just like, you do the best. You do the best. Best I ever had.
That's the worst song.
I was like, I feel that as like a song in my soul. But maybe like weird timing for them, you know? But they can't play Future, so they got to like figure something out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They can't play. That's a little funny. But no, they're in a good spot with Purdy. Just keep the turnovers down in the late game part. And I guess really the only other part is I think forever is going to be the question mark going forward. Is what happens when the game is tight and late in the game? Does he fold? Does he try to like do too much? Does he have a brain fart? Because people have kind of, I've seen like, oh, he's playing hero ball to his picks. And I'm like, is it hero ball? Or is he just being like, or is it just like a bad mistake? Like, I couldn't tell because it's not like he's trying to make a big play.
Well, he does make some like erratic, even with how good he did. And he did play good on Sunday, but like that intentional grounding penalty he had, that is something that he consistently does. He will not just take a sack and go down. He has to throw that ball even if there's nowhere he's throwing it to. And every time I'm like, can you please not do that? It's either going to get you a penalty or someday it's going to get you a turnover or maybe even a pick six. Because if there was a Jags player there, he could have picked that up and ran to the back because there was no one that was going to stop him. So.
Yeah, so those are the mistakes you try to live with, and that's again why you have all this talent around you that hold it. And then if he does turn it over, well, the defense, do your job that we pay you for, and limit the damage. So that's what they're built for. That's part of why it's like it really was also an exclamation point of the defensive failures. And I wouldn't even say failure. It was like I always say the defensive woes. Like it was a decline. It wasn't the defense we're used to seeing. Even though like outside of the Bengals game, they only allowed 19 and 22 points essentially. Like when you're an electric offense like the 49ers, you should be able to beat that. But, again, that's why it was everything. It literally was everything. In this game, you had everyone and everything playing up to speed and up to par like they should be, which is at an elite level.